Welcome. This is Bernice Ross, the CEO and President of Brokerage from realestatecoach.com, and I'm very delighted to welcome Natalia Karayaneva from Property, and she is the CEO and founder. And if you haven't heard of this, we're going to be talking about blockchain. So, Natalia, thank you for joining us. Almost all of us are kind of ignorant of what blockchain is. Let's begin by saying, what is blockchain and how does it work?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Bernice, very much for having me today. We've met at Inman 2 weeks ago and discussed blockchain a couple of times. And I know the audience is still fresh and have heard definitely about Bitcoin, blockchain, all those cryptography, all those words.
Yes.
But I think, it's a huge topic, but I'd love to discuss it from the point of a real estate agent and how this concept is relative to our industry with examples from the industry. So let's get into that. And the main concept of blockchain is actually its distribution and its immutability characteristics. So imagine we have ownership data, title deeds recorded in a county, in a computer. And anything could happen with this data. A hacker could get to the database, like what happened in Baltimore. Fire could happen and the data could be destroyed. What blockchain is still a database, but this database are being distributed into thousands of computers. So it's just repeated data in a number of computers. And all those computers, which we call nodes, they receive an incentive to keep the data. And there are a number of blockchains. There are many today, but the most famous one is Bitcoin network or Bitcoin blockchain, as well as Ethereum.
Can you spell that for me, Natalia? What is it again? Could you say that again?
Sure. Bitcoin blockchain.
Okay.
And Ethereum blockchain.
Okay, so those are the two biggest ones then.
Yeah, these are the biggest ones. They have a huge number of computers that are storing data. And whenever there is a transaction, a record happening on this network, there are blocks added to previous blocks, which makes a chain of blocks. And for every single adding of a transaction, there is a computational task that needed to be solved. But an agent doesn't have to know all about that. The main concept
here, I understand this then, what you were saying, because everybody's saying blockchain provides a higher level of security. That's why it's being used for things like cryptocurrency.
Exactly.
And, what are some of the examples of cryptocurrency that you've seen?
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, one of the applications of blockchain is money, cryptocurrency. When there is a transaction happened between two accounts, the blockchain has this immutable record that the money were transferred from one account to another account. And the same could happen with property ownership. Between two accounts, they could be ownership transferred, and this data is immutable. Yes, you can add a new information to this database, but it's traceable. Even if a hacker gets into blockchain and records, for example, a new title data, you can always see it because you cannot alter historical data. And that's, for example,
what happens then, if I'm understanding this, because I didn't understand this until you just explained it, is that, so a piece of data is created and it's discrete. Once it's in the system, it's like a piece of concrete. It can't be changed, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a block. So if somebody else tries to change that block, they can't access it. It's just this block that stands alone. And when all the other blocks are added to that, if a hacker comes in, all they're getting at is a block. They cannot penetrate the block. Did I say that right?
Yes, absolutely right, Bernice.
Okay.
Great. That's the case. That's the main concept.
Yeah, so what I get now, because I was curious, for example, we know that, let's say I'm using DocuSign for my transactions, but the problem is, and DocuSign's super secure, but they're not using blockchain technology, right? So they could theoretically be hacked, right?
Yes. Theoretically, yes. And
Okay.
I'm hearing from DocuSign that they're actually working on blockchain as well. They have initiatives. Yeah. It's pretty known. I think there is some information online about those initiatives. Recently, they have invested in a new company that is working on blockchain or so-called smart contracts. So the problem with conventional companies that don't use blockchain, that there is a centralized point of failure that could happen. Even internal engineers can get into the system, alter the data, and it's not traceable. It's very hard to trace if something is changed in a database. While with blockchain, it's simply impossible.
You just can't, because again, each it's like somebody could go and change the code in a regular program essentially, but with blockchain, there's no changing it. It just is what it is. So,
And because, yeah.
Go ahead.
And because there are always those new blocks added to the chain, the database and the network becomes very heavy and also expensive to record on it. This is why blockchain is not applicable for all the problems we have today, but definitely it's applicable for real estate, because every single transaction, it's an expensive exercise, expensive closing, where a lot of participants and a lot of funds are involved. This is why real estate applications are definitely are suitable for the state of the blockchain today, because it's still an infant stage of the technology.
Well, one of the biggest problems we're having now in terms of cybersecurity is with people getting messages in their email saying that you need to transfer funds to this account. And if you were conducting the transaction in blockchain, that wouldn't happen. Is that correct? Or could that still, I guess they could still get the email, but if you're using the blockchain, then that would,
well,
I would think that would prevent that from happening.
Yeah, this is the problem that actually my company is working on.
Oh, fantastic. Good lead in for
Yeah.
Poppy. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So I wouldn't say that blockchain alone would solve this problem, but definitely in our case, it helps a lot, because we've developed a transaction platform that empowers agents, and the agents can close the transaction without email communication. So instead of sending all the documents and sensitive information via email, they send it via Propi platform, which is very secure. And thus, the wire fraud is eliminated. In particular, one feature entirely eliminates the fraud risk. It's when the title company provides a bank account to our system, as well as the buyer provides the bank account to our system. And then we internally initiate the payment, because we have all the paperwork, the offer signed, and we have the proof of the buyer and the seller bank accounts. Thus, we initiate the payment. So the buyer never goes to the bank. And even if they received a fraudulent email, because they don't go to the bank, they don't initiate the bank transfer, and thus the wire fraud risk is eliminated.
So what I'm hearing here, Natalia, is that you have a solution that you can apply. Say, for example, one of the issues is deposit checks. When people write an offer, and is that check good? I mean, we hope it is. I take those, I record them. So I wouldn't need my checkbook. I just would need to have money on account, and then supply that account information to blockchain. How do you see this right now? Where is this first coming into the industry? Is it coming in through title, through mortgage? In terms of your company and what you're seeing, where are the first applications of blockchain and this level of security? This sounds like it's really important. It's a tremendous upgrade for what's going on. I see the excitement now. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say there are three main applications of blockchain in the real estate industry. The first one is very impactful. It's ownership records on blockchain. In the US, there are 3,000 counties that are recording deeds. Some of them are still paper-based, some of them are using different databases and different software, very often outdated software. They pay a lot of money for IT engineers to upgrade the systems annually, but still there is an opportunity of hacks, fires, and destroyment of backup files and so on. And thus blockchain is the perfect solution for keeping the record of ownership. In the rest of the world, actually, they don't have any efficient, not the rest of the world, but in developing countries, let's say, they don't have registries at all, or the government is corrupted, and thus any official or a hacker can get to the database, change the record, and the ownership would be transferred. So blockchain absolutely is a fantastic application for value transfer. We call internet was the innovation that transferred information easily, and our blockchain is a technology that transfers values, and thus it builds trust. So the first application, it's land records, ownership keeping, and the PROPI had 2 pilots in Vermont counties, where currently they're recording deeds on the blockchain. So it's already happening in a number of countries and a number of counties.
So this is an international phenomenon. So if I'm going to close a property, say, in Mexico, the most secure way to do this, or anywhere else in the world, the most secure way to do it, especially in countries where they don't have title, which is most places in the world, this blockchain would give me probably the greatest degree of protection. If you know, is your company supplying this internationally, or are you just based here in the U.S. currently?
We're based in the U.S., but the registry was developed for international usage, and thus we have few pilots and agreements in a number of countries.
So you're launching in a number of countries right now where you're piloting the technology. So in addition to doing title, you know, we've talked, what else are you, what is PROPI doing? And in terms of other applications, or are you just focused primarily on the title part?
So our main product and application is a transaction platform for brokerages, real estate developers, where the entire closing and the communication is happening on one platform. And every single transaction step has a record on the blockchain. Whenever there is a signature from the buyer, seller, and the agent, immediately the system records the log into the blockchain. And thus we have immutable evidence of every single step. And there is a proof of existence of documents. So we have DocuSign integrated, which is the favorite tool of agents for e-signatures. But still, every single PDF, we get a hash of it and put it on the blockchain. And thus nobody in our system is able to change data, alter data without us noticing it or the system noticing it. And the interesting part of this technology, it's called smart contract. When it's a self-executing code, the interesting part here is that in the future, the escrow will be happening automatically via smart contracts. Let's say there is a paperwork done, payment is done, and once those 2 conditions are executed, smart contracts get the data and do ownership transfer automatically, as well as the funds are transferred automatically. And this will happen sooner or later. We did few transactions as those more or less like a pilot, because we're mostly dealing with dollars and traditional currency. But once we did a transaction, the first one was in cryptocurrency. So our blockchain part hold the funds till all the conditions were met. And then the ownership was transferred automatically.
Now, so do you see escrow going away? And that, I mean, you get rid of escrow costs or bring them way down from having to have a human do it? Is that where this is going?
I think the industry will go there. I'm not saying necessarily that we're doing it currently or soon. We're working with title companies and escrow companies. They're doing their job, like title search, title insurance. But eventually, yes, I do believe that the manual work of releasing the funds, when there is a human just checking the box, this will go away with the technology. Whether it's like our technology or someone else, but I think that's the purpose of the smart contracts, to check certain conditions and then transfer the value.
Wow. So this sounds like the holy grail is to get the transaction, bring down title costs and bring down mortgage costs. Is there an application of mortgage on this? Is there? I mean, I'm thinking, gosh, I'm looking at the 120 pages on loan docs I've seen recently. Can we make that part of it go away?
Question. That would be awesome, of course, to reduce the paperwork. However, I don't believe that the amount of the paperwork will go away anytime soon. Even in our case, we do follow all the traditional framework and paperwork. We just bring them all online. But having said that, I've heard there are a number of startups working on mortgages on blockchain, as well as few title companies are having initiatives in blockchain, such as First American. They did one internal product on blockchain. Even National Association of Realtors, they have few pilots and researches on blockchain. So definitely the industry is looking at the technology seriously, and everybody understands that the cost of escrow and title will go down. So the leaders in the industry thus looking at the innovation.
It's interesting because the big profits have been in title and mortgage because the commissions are getting whittled down on the brokerage side. So, everybody's kind of pushing towards this from start to finish. I want to have this platform, but then this may change the game is what I'm hearing. Not immediately, it'll take a while to do the transition, but this is really fascinating. So now if I'm an agent listening to this, can I use blockchain through property? Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you use our transaction platform, you basically using a blockchain technology. Our blockchain technology is based on Ethereum, and you actually don't have to know anything about blockchain. The only difference that you will see, first of all, this system would remind you of dot loop or sky slope, right? It's
Okay.
a story. Then there is a flow where you invite the buyer, the seller to sign the documents via DocuSign. But the only difference you would see in the end, because there is a blockchain address on the title deed. Yeah.
So I can sign up for this now. So say I'm an independent broker or I'm an agent. I want to use the blockchain technology as my transaction management platform. Or even if I'm someone who does transaction management who works inside of a brokerage. What am I looking at for cost per transaction? Is it based upon the size of the sale or is it a flat rate? How do you make that determination?
Yeah, it's a subscription, $30 per month per agent. And this includes DocuSign integrated, so the agent doesn't have to have a separate DocuSign account and pay for it, as well as this includes functionality for disclosures, as well as offer functionality, where you can collect all your offers there and see the summary of all the offers collected and then present them to the seller.
So you're saying that I can use this for multiple offers as well? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So if I'm in a multiple offer situation, then I could take, I have to upload those multiple offers then, right? To the system.
If you are a seller agent, then you would provide the link and invite all your other buyers agents to upload, submit the offer there. Then you will have a summary of every single offer, which will make your life easier to assess those offers. If you are a buyer's agent, then you can upload the offer already accepted and signed. The system is pretty flexible. You can either sign it in our platform or just upload it there and use it for storage.
So now, are you integrated with DocuSign transaction platforms, or does your company take the place of the transaction platform, the traditional platform that DocuSign provides?
Yes, the second, however, for example, you are a brokerage and you have a number of agents. One agent is used to use SkySlope, the other one transaction rooms by DocuSign. Then in the end of our transaction, we offer you an opportunity to send all the documents right away to the system you use as a way of transition, or if your agents are insistent to do so.
So to kind of wrap up, I have a couple of questions here. First, if agents want to learn more about this, and I assume you have a video that kind of explains how to use it on your site, where would they go?
Propy.com. On the main menu, there is a transaction platform and all the explanations. Also on Propy.com, there is a very simple 2-minute video that explains the interface of the transaction platform, as well as which pieces of information are recorded on the blockchain.
Well, this is fascinating. And to wrap up our conversation, I mean, I'm just, thank you for educating all of us on this, Natalia, because this is fascinating. What is one final takeaway that you have for our listeners today?
Well, the final takeaway is agents, don't be afraid of innovation. Try, test new technologies, new tools, and please reach out on Twitter or on our website, and we're happy to explain more. I know it may sound complex, but actually with all the interfaces that we're building, user-friendly products, I think it's pretty easy to start using innovative tools.
Well, what strikes me as being really important in what you just said is that this is something that I can use, especially if I'm doing the luxury market, to differentiate myself from the competition in terms of the security of the transaction. But when you start talking blockchains to clients, they may kind of glaze over. But if you can explain this, and then, and how it works, and a lot of them will be familiar with cryptocurrency anyway, but this is something that makes you stand out from the competition who's just using what everybody else is. So I always look for that point of differentiation. Natalia, you've given me a big one. I'm going to be writing about this very soon. So you can visit with Natalia Karayaneva. She is the founder and CEO of Propy. You can visit them at Propy, P-R-O-P-E-Y. That's P-R-O-P-E-I. P-E-Y.
P-R-O-P-Y, yeah.
P-R-O-P-Y. My apologies, I put that E in there. So you want to say it correctly, I mispronounced it.
Yeah. P-R-O-P-Y.com.
P-R-O-P-Y.com. So take a look at this. I'm very excited about what this can do. And what you're looking at now is how real estate can be conducted. It may not be this year, next year, but you're going to see the shift coming fairly quickly, I think in the next 12 to 40, 48 months, as more and more people come on because of the security of the transaction. So Natalia, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you a lot, Bernice. Bye-bye.